you sourced the most beautiful analogy I've ever heard. Marital Jenga? Really? Tell me, where did that come from?
It came yesterday, and I use that analogy in my work, right? Because we're expecting structures to hold when we're not following the real design, you know? And so it's, and so our posture is the analogy I use with my work. When people are not stacked like the rock cairns you see, right? That hold, right? They'll hold. But when you start messing with that design, then you've got Jenga going on. But I started thinking about it from my marriage, and I was like, wait a minute, it was such a surprise that he left. What was going on for me, right? I don't know totally what was going on for him, but what was going on for me was that I was making withdrawals in a structure that wasn't holding.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that you use that same analogy in your work, and I'm excited to let you tell the audience what you do.
I have developed a bodywork system, which is unlike any other. It's called the Birch Method, and it's a way of getting. It's so interesting that Elspeth made the hierarchical versus the partnership. That's what I work with all the time with people, because we're Westerners, and we have inherited a paradigm of this top-down sort of master-slave relationship with our bodies. We tell our bodies what to do, and we expect them to just do it without question, and then invariably that inverts, and then we've got the master being the slave and the slave being the master. When we get old, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So, we end up in not a good way in our elder years, and we scratch our head, what did I do wrong? You wonder, how did people get all bent over? How did they end up in nursing homes? I can tell you, because they didn't follow the design. And following the design has everything to do with creating that partnership where everybody wins.
It has been such an honor to get to know you and your work and your method. And I'd love for you to share with everybody your I believe it's
3.
the 4. Yeah, please do.
So the Birch Method is based on 3 powerful pillars. And the first one is alignment, which makes a lot of sense, and most people can relate to that. But alignment for me is incredibly specific, because I've really gotten aware of what our design actually is. We're not born with a manual, so everyone's kind of guessing, and we're doing a pretty darn good job. But my research and my experience brought me to a place where I understand design in a whole different way. And alignment means that every structure has a happy place. And when we deviate from that happy place, it's not happy. And every structure has a happy dance, some movement that it does that contributes to the whole thing really working well. And then it has happy relationships, right? Sounds good, doesn't it? So that's alignment. Alignment, to me, is that which works. And when things work, we're available for life. We're in our flow. We're in that place of suspension versus tension. And the second pillar is attunement, which means, how do you know what's going on with your body? It's that partnership at work where if you don't know what's going on, you're powerless to change it or affect it. So I teach people to go from the trunk to the driver's seat, and then teach them how to drive in their own vehicle, in their own amazing body, so that they're not having to farm it out all the time. Not that you can't have access to resources, that's awesome, but you're still in the driver's seat and you're learning how to drive, where you have access to feedback and controls, right? It's a much better place to be than the trunk. And then the third pillar is assembly. Like, probably you've never even asked yourself, what holds us together? Mostly, it's tension. So assembly is how to play the tension game and win. It's how to keep the alignment, right? Because somebody can put you in alignment, but how do you stay there, right? So this is the thing that brings our body into that place of magical suspension, where you can actually let go of the tensions that have defined your approach to life and your whole way of being.
So, considering that you've been very vulnerable sharing your most recent 24-hour journey with us, thank you for going there and starting from scratch.
Thanks
You're a
for
beautiful
calling me out.
example of doing that. How important are emotions in the physicality and like maybe repressing emotions with your work?
You know, I don't work with that as my goal, but I always welcome it, right? Because emotions are invariably what is part of the mix. There's no physical sensation without an emotional component to it, right? Because that's how we work. We're integrated beings, regardless of how we approach things. We're still integrated beings, and that's how we absorb experiences, like driving from the airport past this exit. It's like all of a sudden there it was. So the issues are in the tissues.
Hashtag the issues are in the tissues. Okay.
That's not mine. That's
Okay.
from somebody else, but yeah, but it's still true.
That's great. So we're ready for our signature question for you.
Yes.
In 3 words, what is your meaning of life?
Lightness of being.
Care to share any more about that?
Sure. So when I'm working with my clients or when I'm working with myself and I'm divesting them or myself of the tension, then what happens is this place of suspension. And when people get into that place that they have to build a tolerance for, honestly, it's that place of lightness of being, and it's so beautiful. It moves my soul to see when that happens. It's such a beautiful experience, and then teaching them how to live in that place of lightness of being.
Ladies and gentlemen, Erin Burch.